little concepts and then dive into that kind of Q&A. So the first concept is the concept of trying. The second is the concept of tactical coaching versus law of attraction coaching, and how we can give ourselves permission to chat through logic, kind of have open-ended conversations, and then tying them back into processes. So all of these are pretty short, but let's first talk about trying energy, the energy of trying, because as a new coach, it could be totally reasonable that when you're going to get on a call, like you really want it to be good, right? Like you really want to make a big impact for the other person, and you really want to do a good job, and you really want it to be meaningful. But the place that really wanting to do a good job, that comes from the cerebral, that comes from your brain, that comes from the conceptual part of all of this stuff. And so if you're really wanting to make a big impact, it's almost like we're already disconnected from source energy a little bit, right? Because we're really wanting to do something. So I just want to throw out this concept so you can be aware if before getting on a call, you have the energy of really wanting to do a good job. Because as funny as it sounds, I want to give you permission to not want to do such a good job. What I want to give you permission to do is stick to the process. Stick to what we know works, which is rewriting shit, future casting, and self-care, and fostering the allowing mode. And so when I go into a coaching call, I don't have the energy of wanting to do a good job. I have the energy of like, I wonder what we're going to do today. Like, is it going to be rewriting, future casting, or self-care? So I want you to, because it's hard to just say, oh, stop trying to want to do a good job, right? That's not helpful advice, because you're not going to ever stop wanting to do a good job. Of course, I have, in some way, I want, of course, to provide a good experience for people. But what I'm leaning into mostly is, I don't know if I'm going to do a good job. I don't know your energy that I don't know the energy that they're going to come on the call with. I don't really know what I'm dealing with. So all I'm really going to do is do what I know how to do, which is rewriting shit mainly. So of course, we've already talked about in the past that before we go into coaching, we want to get our energy high. We want to give ourselves time to acclimate to the highest version of ourselves. So we feel like we're kind of flowing the stuff. But it's also just good to try to catch yourself if you're feeling like, oh my God, I really want to do a good job, because you're already going to be in your own way. And the opposite of really wanting to do a good job is letting yourself off the hook for doing a really good job, and just giving yourself permission to say, I'm going to do the best job I can to do the processes that I know. Because there is a version of coaching out in the world. This is probably most coaching, which the coach comes on with good energy and like a magic wand with magical wand capabilities and good advice, right? So people will like get on the call and they'll say everything they want to say. And then the coach gives them this gives them this pep talk and gives them this like a little tool or process. And they feel really, really good because the coach just kind of told them what to do. But now they're kind of dependent on that coach to now they kind of need to be with that coach all the time, because they're not really learning that skill. But if they're seeing you just lean on the process, then they're going to realize, oh, I can lean on the process, rather than feeling like you have to be responsible for just like some sort of brilliant good advice that's going to like change everything for them. That's a lot of pressure to put on ourselves, that, hey, I've got like a half an hour, 45 minutes to like change somebody's life with like some magical words of wisdom. That's not the goal. That's not the point. The point, at least in what we do, is to get people really good at a methodical and repeatable skill. And so when we take the magic wand of a coach out of the equation, we can go be more process oriented, which is going to enable people even more. And I even remember this, like even this concept was really strong from when I used to be in like sales and sales management. they would say often that like the best salespeople are not good sales managers, because the best salespeople are just have this like magical energy and people are saying yes to them all the time, rather than somebody who like sticks to the script and sticks to the process and then can teach and coach to that. So I just want to put that out there that you can all, if you find yourself wanting to try, you can relax a little bit by just saying, I'm going to just do the best job I can to implement these things that I know how to do. All right, let's move on. So the next thing was, this is will be pretty quick. Tactical versus law of attraction coaching. So sometimes when we are listening for like people talking about something, we just have this impulse of like, oh, okay, yeah, you just got to do this, right? Like this could be like, and I am guilty of this, you guys. And I'm trying my best to clean up the last bits of non-law of attraction advice that I give out. I've stopped telling people to make TikTok videos so hard. I've stopped telling people to stop eating gluten. Right. So there's a lot of things that that are we think is great advice, because in our inspired energy, we were inspired to do these specific things and they worked for us, but it doesn't mean it's law of attraction advice. So just kind of throwing out there to be observant if you feel pulled to give non-law of attraction advice. Sometimes I will do it and I'll tell them, just so you know, this is not law of attraction advice. Like, feel free to dismiss everything I'm about to say if it doesn't 100% resonate. This is not official advice. So just being aware of whether you feel like, oh yeah, you should just blah, 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 versus do something with energy alignment. Because maybe that is a really good tip, but maybe it isn't for them. Like about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was doing intermittent fasting and loving it. I was doing these 36-hour fasts that were incredible. My body felt good. I was so alert. It just felt so fucking good. And so I started kind of telling people, oh my God, the 36-hour fast, the 36-hour fast. But it turns out that 36-hour fasts are really bad for fucking up your hormones. So, like I was so excited to tell people this and I told people this for a long time, and then kind of realized like, oh, actually, like that's not good advice for everybody. But for me, it felt so fucking good. And so I broke the rule of non-law of attraction advice. And then to just later being like, Alleah, like keep your fucking mouth shut. Like you have no good advice other than how to align your energy. So just throwing that out there to be aware. It's not the worst if you do it, but it's good to become aware of whether you are truly doing law of attraction coaching or if you're giving advice. And if you just can't help yourself, you really just feel drawn to give this advice, then just maybe preface that with what they're actually getting, which is like a tip that worked for you, but not necessarily as good for everybody. Because sometimes you also don't know, like maybe if you feel like a strong desire to share something, maybe they are manifesting that piece of information out of you. We don't know. Maybe that is some sort of manifestation or co-creation. But I think generally it's a really good idea to be aware and be self-aware of whether we are doing energy management or good at, or tactical advice or something like that. So then the last one is we're talking is now we're like process, but also giving ourselves permission to chat through some law of attraction logic. Okay. So like I find in my coaching sessions, there's usually a little bit, maybe 5 or 10 minutes sometimes. And Tanya, you can chime in on this. I'm sure it's probably similar for you as well, where you're kind of talking through, this is what they're saying. And maybe before you dive into rewriting all their stuff, we kind of like be like, oh, okay, yeah, and then whatever we're inspired to say. So we're kind of talking general law of attraction theory, or maybe you're going back and forth. So giving yourself permission to chat it through, but knowing that you're going to loop it back around to one of the processes, which is rewriting, future casting, or the self-care allowing mode bucket, the simmering down bucket, which also can include workouts or tea or meditation or hot baths or letting yourself off the hook or observing yourself or letting things pass through, that whole kind of genre of thing. So I don't want to make it seem like the coaching sessions are so rigid where it's just like, okay, what do you got? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, like mechanical. It's definitely okay to give yourself some liberty to chat through the approach or the logic or whatever is coming up. Just knowing that if you never tie it back to a process, that is the equivalent of your little magic wand coaching, which is saying, let's chat through all the logic. There was some brilliant things here and now you feel better, but you're not really left with something. So chatting and tying it back to what we do, rewriting a little something, future casting a little something. Sometimes it's making a plan, like, like, okay, cool. Like it could be like making a plan to do the work, talking through what the morning routine might look like, or something to do with that, or making a self-care plan, but tying it back to one of the things that we know, so it's not just a magic wand type of coaching session.